Hello guys, and welcome to this video where I'm going to introduce one of the publications that we have completed, and luckily it has gone through the publication process and is published now under the Elsevier name. So welcome to this presentation. My name is Abel, and I would like to provide a little bit of my background. If you look at the images on the screen, you will realize that I have worked in various countries at various universities. From Western Michigan University, where I completed my degrees, so my alma mater. I worked briefly near Western Michigan University tutoring at the Kalamazoo Valley Community College. I have very good memories of my times in Michigan. And then years later, I came back to the States to work at Auburn University in Alabama, in the city of Auburn, near Opelika, which is a twin city. Later on, I moved to, so basically I completed my PhD at Lincoln University on the far right down corner. You see that stylish, traditional looking building. That's Lincoln University near Christchurch in New Zealand. After that, I worked in Wellington at an institute in Wellington. And then I moved to ECU, Edith Cowan University in Australia. After that, I moved to Auburn, came back to work at what is today Western Sydney University. At that time, it was called University of Western Sydney. And then I moved to the UK to work for a short period of time at Derby, came back to work at ECU for a second time, moved back to the UK to work at Liverpool John Moores, came back to work at Curtin University, and I'm currently in Vietnam working for RMIT International University. Previously, I conducted research in New Zealand, and then I started my research journey in Australia. After completing my PhD, after New Zealand, as I said before, I moved to Australia, and then I conducted research there on several occasions. In the meantime, when I moved to the United States, I also conducted research, especially in Alabama. That is face-to-face interviews, qualitative research. And then I moved to, I moved to Europe, and I conducted research in Europe and also in Latin America. So I have been extremely privileged, and now I'm with some colleagues, very valuable colleagues here in Vietnam. I'm also conducting field research, quite a bit of field research in a number of industries. So I would like to talk to you about this journal, in the Journal of Business Research, that was published earlier this year, 2023, and it was completed last year in 2022. The journey began earlier during COVID, so during 2021, when we collected and analyzed the data. And as you can see, the timeline, we started data collection again during COVID. We contacted a number of, we looked at business associations in Italy. We also conducted research in other countries at that time, but this particular research is from Italy. And then we looked at the business community relations during an unprecedented event like COVID, an extreme crisis that many businesses and individuals went through for such a long period of time. So as you can see, the data, the timeline illustrates the data collection, the data analysis, the article write-up, the submission, and then as is common with many high-ranked journals, the whole process of from submission to receiving a decision to revisions and so forth takes many months, sometimes even years. In our case, it took a lot, quite a bit, but we're extremely delighted that in the end, it was a happy ending. So as you can see in red, the elapsed time, we, for a number of reasons, we had some misunderstandings, and the article became stuck really in the review, on the reviewer's desk, And then the time elapsed, and we thought that it had been rejected, but in actual fact, it hadn't been rejected. We had been invited to revise it. So through a misunderstanding, many months went by until one day I received a notice from the journal asking me, what are you guys going to do? Are you going to revise or not? And then we realized that we had actually been invited to revise the article. So it was unexpected news. Then it took us several days or even weeks to receive a confirmation. And then after that, we went through 2 or 3 full stages or rounds of revisions rather, where we had to, of course, satisfy the demands, the requirements, the expectations of the reviewers. And then eventually the article was accepted to our delight. As I said before, we were all over the moon because for many years I have tried to publish in this journal and my attempts were unsuccessful. So hopefully this experience will repeat itself, because really we ended up with a sense of relief and also not vindication, but we believe that our research was of such quality that it merited being published in such a reputable outlet. So it was a very, very happy ending for us. So I would like to walk you through quickly through the different areas of the article. So our objectives were set to provide, to present, to confirm, and to ascertain some of our objectives. And one of them was the empirical element. So we wanted to contribute empirically to the body of research by providing this angle of community-business relationships during an unprecedented event, an unprecedented crisis. We also wanted to make a contribution in conceptual terms or theoretically by looking at first at some of the existing frameworks, trying to incorporate them into our research. But more importantly, we also wanted to contribute conceptually by presenting a data structure from Gioia et al. 2012. Sometimes it is cited as 2013, but Gioia et al. These authors have presented or developed this data structure that today is quite recognized worldwide. And this data structure enables you to, together with the inductive approach of the study, to develop a framework in the end through also the development of various dimensions. So the literature review looked into Freeman's work, stakeholder theory, and the discussion of other very relevant readings and sources such as Donaldson and Preston, 1995. So we were very happy to prepare this literature review looking at both contemporary and earlier literature, 1990s, 1980s, and so forth. Our methodology looked into different sections where we walked the readers through, in this case, the editor and reviewers, the different stages of our data, of the methodology, how the study was conducted, and so forth. And then we presented the research questions and what questions we asked to those participants. We used an online survey because at that time, A, we couldn't go to Italy, and B, we were living very distant from Italy, but we had the contacts, we had the detailed contacts of those enterprises that we will contact and gather the information through an online questionnaire. So Italy, we looked into, as I said before, business associations. We prepared an online questionnaire. And as you can see on the right-hand side, these are some of the demographic characteristics of our data. So a lot of the businesses had been established quite a long time ago. The role of the participants, for the most part, they were owners, and the majority of the businesses were family businesses. So this is quite common. I mean, in Italy, the businesses family businesses are a big part of the enterprises in Italy. So many of them you are familiar with in the literature, not only vehicle or auto companies, manufacturers, but also from other industries, fashion, food, wine, etc. So we conducted, we gathered this data from all these 107 participants, and then eventually we, using the data structure, Gioia et al., we and others, Gioia himself has written an article in 2020 or 2021, and also more recently another author and Gioia have also conducted research on the data structure. So we used Danny Gioia's research as a stepping stone into our analysis, obviously also considering inductive analysis and qualitative content analysis to develop these dimensions that we ended up developing through our data analysis. And then the overarching dimensions that we use to develop our theoretical framework. So we use a lot of the verbatim comments or the verbatim observations from the participants to enrich our analysis. And then we continued, for each research question, we developed a data structure and we provided the verbatim comments to enrich that results section or findings section. And as I mentioned before, the cherry on the cake was the development of a theoretical framework where we look at the relationships. So one of the key stepping stones or the cornerstones of theoretical frameworks is to identify and establish relationships according to some authors. So we establish those relationships by developing this framework. So you can see the solid lines indicate overlaps with other ideas and concepts, and then the dashed lines partly overlap or partly relationship. So this was towards the end of our research article, and we were again very happy that after so much work and so much waiting, finally the Journal of Business Research, the editorial board, considered this article as meritorious, as adding value to the journal, and it was published. So the implication section is another part that it is critical in persuading both reviewers and the editor that the article has merit, has value. So we developed theoretical and practical implications, and eventually our conclusions reinforce that knowledge by, again, by providing a literature review, by providing the framework, by providing sharp and clear conclusions to demonstrate the value of our research. So I really appreciate your time watching this video, and I hope it was informative enough and it will provide some guidance in your future research endeavors. Thank you very much indeed. Bye now.